Okay, so I have a few things I want to talk about. One of the things is, look, I got 10 paintings done now. And I got to go get some more canvases. I got some more. I think I'm going to do this series like maybe 15 or 20 paintings. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go get some more. But, so anyways, right now I have 10. And I really like them. I don't know. I really like this perspective. So anyways, that was just one of the things. I can't even paint anymore. Today, I'm not leaving today. I'm going to bake cookies and stuff like that. Because it's going to be like a lot of my grandkids are going to be there. It's going to be everybody except for the one daughter who's not speaking to me. And then also their dad. Because usually at all of the big things, he's always there too. So it's usually all of us together. So anyways, there's a few people that won't be there, but it's going to be super fun. I just find it so strange on the timing. I kept being like, man, if things go down and we get stuck somewhere, we'll all be stuck there together. But anyways, it's just strange. I did see a guy, a judge. I forgot to say it yesterday. I just feel out of it every day. I am so, like, there is an evil force trying to keep the light. There is a force. And it's exhausting, but I know we're breaking through it. But anyways, this judge, he said that it went before the judicial and that debt was found to be illegal and all debt has been wiped clean. And so none of us owe anything anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, what a strange way if this is how it's going to go down. Like, people are going to keep paying their stuff for a couple months and they're going to keep pretending like that's real. But if you just stop paying. Because I stopped paying in 2020. I stopped paying my credit cards because I thought everything was going to go way faster. Like, if I would have known, if they would have told me, oh, yeah, you got years, I would have probably been like, oh. Because I even stopped paying my house. They did that moratorium. But that moratorium took down so much small business. All of the people who, like a lot of retired people, had an extra house for rent or different things like that as their income. And so the moratorium screwed all those people, but mine was to mortgage, so mine wasn't to a renter. But so they it was when Winston was sick and dying. I had all these vet bills, and I said, well, I'm having a sick person in my family, because it was all about sick people, and I'm like, I have a sick person in my family, and can I skip this month? And they're just like, oh yeah, skip it for as long as you want. So I was like, okay. I was watching the money thing, so I thought, oh, it's going to go down anyways. People's stuff is already being wiped clean. And tomorrow's supposed to be the big thing, the 23rd, which will be on the road. Oh, and this is crazy. Let me think back where I was talking. So I stopped paying my credit cards and all that stuff in 2020, right after, as soon as I started hearing Charlie say things, I was like, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen, because it went into alignment with everything else that I already knew. That's why people have got to realize you got to use your discernment, but you got to have kind of you got to get a little library going. You can't just close off to very limited information and then think, like you're going to hear something. You're going to hear something. It's going to be like, oh, that's information I don't know. I know nothing about this. Go away. And you're not going to know how to receive that information. It's up to you to, get the circuit board available for all things. So you have to, actively open your mind to more information, and information that, is just information. That's the thing, is people get so weird about it. It's like, it is just information. Like, you don't have to look at it in any way. You don't have to judge the information. It's information. And it's just is kind of in you. And then you go through life and this happens, that happens, you hear this, you look at that, all these different things. And it takes from that information to give you a bigger picture. So all the information is threaded together throughout your life. But if you keep yourself restricted and small, you're missing out on all the stuff that could be possible inside of you because you are holding yourself back. And you got to open yourself up to all information. These people who get so much like, it's only this one thing, anything outside of that is wrong and all that. No. And we all, every single motherfucking person here has their own. We're not all at the same level in any way, shape, or form. And it isn't like, somebody's way higher on this, because like I could say, oh, well, I understand these certain things and I'm in a place right now where people have forgotten this stuff, or they don't have the same understanding as me, or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but that doesn't mean like that I'm fully developed beyond in other ways as a soul. Like, we're all souls. We're all like, and we're all reaching a hand out all the time. We're always trying to help one another because we know helping one another helps us. It helps the movement. It helps the energy. And so it is, just like, to me, in the micro macro, getting to this point where we really see building someone's self-esteem up is the world we want to live in. Tearing somebody down and saying you shouldn't think that, you shouldn't believe that, something's wrong with you, you're a weirdo, is destructive. It's destructive to society. It's destructive to this person's self-esteem and to every choice they're going to make and how it's going to affect all of us. Because one fucking disease in one area is going to spread. So us going and, beating kids down and stuff, oh, you need to be this way and that way. There's no other way to be except the way I say. There's no way to send kids out into the world. Kids have to go out, and fall down and pick themselves up and figure out. It's a self-discovery. It isn't for us. And when you really look at it, when the parents get to be like that, that's out of fear. It's not out of trust. It's out of fear. You're fearful of everything in your environment. You're fear of the loss. What could happen to your child? What would happen to my mind if I lose my child? So it is all this fear base is why we're like over them. Don't do that. Do this. Do that. Like, you got to follow this rule. Got to do this. And that is where we need to step back as a society. And, just to compare how kids were, like when I grew up, how we were raised, as to compare to how kids are now. It's like, these kids don't even motherfucking know what freedom is. And I'll tell you that I'm going to be very graphic in this one today. So if you don't want to hear really graphic stuff or trigger warning stuff, then this probably isn't the one for you to listen to, because this is going to be as graphic as I can, feel comfortable with what I'm allowed to talk about. You still have to say so many words, strangely, because they don't like certain words. So, anyways, but how we were raised back then, at the time, it seemed like we were just ignored. Our parents, didn't really have much notice of us unless we were doing something wrong. It's just like, get out of my sight, go outside. But that is where the fun was. That's where the adventure was. That's where nobody was watching. Nobody was watching to see what you were doing wrong, listening to you in your room laughing, and, everything we did was wrong. I mean, we were supposed to be Aussie inherently, but to Beaver. That was the huge problem. What happened with people not feeling accepted? It was in this period of time where it was so restricted, and this was the rebellion as the consciousness rebelled against this restriction. But that became, a problem in itself, the rebellion. But when we wrap it all up as a whole package, it will make more sense. It's just we're actively in this one segment that has not completed yet. So you need the beginning, the middle, and the end to get the full picture. So we're still in the movie. We're still in the process of this development of what's happening. So we still, we don't have the full picture. But, there was a like a spiritual rebellion against, kind of like against God, because it was against rules, but they became man's rules. I mean, if we were always, and I just know this stuff because I have such a strong spiritual influence inside of me and always have. And so, I mean, at 3 years old, at 3 years old is when they were, that I remember them making me make a moral choice. And that continued forever. It was always, there was always this, well, you could do this, but if you do this, what's this going to do? They were always giving me these, a fuller picture, and, and reminding me, that what I did mattered, like what I was putting out into the world, even bringing somebody soapy water, I was going to get in trouble. There would be a reverberation, something would come back on me. And I learned that at 3. And so, there's just, but I know that there's a reason. I'm playing a role, and I know this role is just about to, like everything has just been laying the groundwork for the role that I'm going to be playing. And I know the role is about the, is about healing and helping people to connect to themselves, because people are so lost. That's the only reason you know something ahead of people knowing it, is because you are meant to help the other people, like hold up a sign at the airport. That's just what souls do. They go in and everybody gets to have a different experience. And, some of the people who are having these other experiences, that doesn't mean that they haven't played this role in some other reality, but they want to play a different role. Like, everybody has different things they want to play. Not everybody wants to run in and be rich and famous every freaking time. That is something you come in to experience, to learn from. And, we've just got this society that got so stuck on it. But it is because we went through in this rebellion of this idol thing, where people began to idolize. And I'll tell you, I had seen someone talking about this new show, Swarm, on Prime. And they were talking about it being like idol worship, and about how society has, stuff like that. And what's weird too is Danny Glover. And I swear to God, I did not think, I thought of him as bit like he's deep and stuff, but like this show is fucking brutal. Like it is disgusting. There's no fucking way. I think I got through 2 episodes, and I was looking out the window through a lot of it. It's disgusting. And I remember that other show he did, it was funny, of, but I didn't watch it all. I had just seen it sometimes, but, it was about like our culture, but this was like, so sickening. God damn. I'm so fucking sick of just. So when we watched that one, and they have You Out, they have Fresh, they have all these different ones of these. When you think about what kids are being raised with, and this is what I'm going to talk about, and I know I'm like jumping all over the place. It's I'm telling you, like, when you see things, when they show things, it's all got these connections, just like, how our brain has these connections. Everything has these connections, and it is like this honeycomb thing, like there's the honeycomb thing, and then there's like this whole honeycomb, like there's the connection. Even the way that we create tunnels, it's how everything goes. It's the portal. Like everything is like that. And I don't even know if that makes sense, but anyways, so when I was younger and we were all, growing up, and there wasn't really any parental supervision. And back then it was very much, it was coming out of the period of time where they really started with the movie star stuff. And so like Carol Lombard and, there was these like actresses and stuff that just became like sensationalized. And so, it put stars in a lot of people's eyes. And so a lot of people would watch these movies and it was all glamorous. And the people were always, always in the movies. If you watch old movies, you see that, how the people were programmed and led into this lifestyle, because everybody is smoking and everybody's drinking. You didn't walk through your front door without, what's the highball of the evening. Everybody had to have a martini, bourbon. They were all drunk all the fucking time. There's a reason why there's so many alcoholics back then. And so they were all drunk and all smoked and stuff. And I really 100% think the smoking was that they started giving people cancer with other things. They used it to cover it, because once they found out there was any kind of antidote, because they're always like a couple decades ahead of us. So, we got these evil motherfucking scientists that are out there, and their whole purpose is to just make us sick so they can get rich. Like, it's fucking, these people are so creepy. God, I wish I could. And that fraud, the little troll going door to door, like right now, like the absurdity of this shit. But dude, I fucking wish he would show up at my door. Oh my God. I would show him such disdain, such disgust. Like, he wouldn't be able to keep eye contact with me. And it would be, I think he would see fire coming out of my eyes. He would see the wrath of God coming from my eyeballs. So, yeah, that little fucker. Go door to door, try and convince people. You pissant little piece of shit. But this is the exposure, of what a piece of shit he really is. So, and it's going to make more sense when people get the whole picture. But so so when we were younger, there was just like this pressure, we weren't allowed to do anything, in the house. Like if you made a noise in the house or something, you are obviously doing something bad, and you better stay in your room till your dad gets home so you can beat your ass with a belt. And then it's like sitting in your room all day long stressing out about, and with my dad, it's like, when's he going to come home and how drunk is he going to be? And how much is he going to enjoy this spanking? And sadly, it was, he really enjoyed the ones on my redheaded brother. And, it's so crazy too how, certain people, they'll just get stuck in their head that they were the only ones who have ever been treated bad. It's like, dude, so many people have been treated bad. It's a story. It's a storyline. It's a role. It's something you come in to experience, to play. So tons and tons of people are treated bad somewhere in their lives. Most people are living in suffering and trauma. Most people have, a horrendous experience at some point in their life that in a younger years that affected them in a really harsh way. And, it's their challenges. It's the stuff that they're there to overcome. It's the road being set to you're seeing the whole picture. And so, we would be out all the time, so no parental supervision. And we were sneaky kind of. Nothing like what nowadays. But, I think that is in the programming. We would go out and do things like throw a can at a car when it drove by. Or another game that we would do is like there would be a group of kids on one side of the road and a group on the other. And as the car came up, you'd both all go back as if you're pulling something across the street, just so you could see the car skid, because we didn't have anything, but the car would think we did. And we would think that's hilarious. And throwing a can at a tire and hitting their hubcap. and so that they would think their hubcap fell off. Well, that would be hilarious too, to see them pull over and get out and look for their hubcap. We would all think that was funny. And until the one time when we did it, and this group of like 4 20-year-olds came out and started chasing us, all these long-haired hippies, and they were chasing us. Is back then, hippies, they were, we were told the hippies, they were out of control. Like, they were just wild and on drugs. You better watch out for those hippies. And these ones came out and started chasing us. But so, there was like a freedom, of going out and getting to experience that. Life taught us, like, get your shit together, kid. You're going to get your ass kicked if you don't. These aren't games that everybody's going to participate in. Like, y'all think this is funny, not everybody does. And so, just like back then when kids would do doorbell ditch or whatever, it was always just to get a reaction. I don't know why, like, kids are so simple. Like, if we do this and they do that, but then we do nothing, that's really funny. So, but there was innocent games. But when you got in trouble, just like, on a Friday night when we do prank calls, there used to be a whole thing with prank calls. That would be your fun. Like, hey, let's have a sleepover and prank call people. Like, I think most people on a Friday night or Saturday night, there had to be a point where people knew it was probably a prank call if you were getting silly calls. But it was kind of like a creative thing, to do the prank calls. It was an innocent joke, it wasn't like, it really was a prank. It wasn't really hurting anybody. But the pressure put on us to be so wholesome and perfect, and then knowing, as you grow up and you start seeing yourself through everybody's eyes, you start seeing yourself as so broken and inferior. And so, the whole time you're just like, something's wrong with me, and it's, it's a hard. And some people get so caught up in trying to please others that it's a lot of stress to put on yourself, because you can't please everybody. It's impossible. And for us to put that much pressure on any of us, on ourselves or anything, is absurd. So, and back then, and I was always one of those people who, I'm trying to sit up high and I gotta lower this, so I can sit back more. I was always one of those people who was doing things when other people weren't doing them, and where it was like, oh my God, you shouldn't do that, shouldn't do this. And I would just go and do things. And so I was always one of those people that was doing things ahead of people because I didn't want to be held back. But then I was always called like crazy, illogical, I was always ridiculed and put down for the things I would do. And, if you do any things and they're a big old fail, then it's, held against you more and more and more. At some point, you're just an idiot, But to me, in my mind, my heart and soul was always like, I'm here to experience life. So I'm going to experience it. And so I wasn't going to be held back by rules that somebody else was putting in place. If I had guidance to go in a certain direction, I was going to follow my internal, not follow. And that it made no sense. It still doesn't. Considering this person who I'm supposed to connect with at some point in this journey is, when I talk about this connection and stuff with, people in my family, it's like nobody understands it at all. They don't understand soul stuff. They don't understand, these connections that we have. And they don't understand about, coming into lives and learning and experiencing. Even when I was a little kid, when I look back now at some of the things, like the signs are always there. They're always telling you. They're telling you your life path from the beginning. It's so crazy. But you don't see it because you have to learn and grow throughout to get to the point to see each thing. And so, there were so many things that were happening that I didn't understand why they were happening. But now I see them so much more clear. But I knew when I was a little kid, I was here for this partnership as an older person. And I knew that I had a specific person that I was here, like a love of your life kind of person. But it was just the journey to that person. I was just mistaken a lot. I didn't know, it's getting me emotional. But it just reminds me so much of that Are You My Mother book, when, because we all go out looking for love. And we don't know, when we feel a connection, we think this must be it. But the connection is to bring you to your next lesson. So you just have these lessons that are leading you to this, this pinnacle position, I guess. I don't know, this place in your love history, but you have to get prepared for it. Because when you start with these relationships, we're so toxic to each other. We're all toxic to one another. And you go through these relationships and you grow from them, but we go into it with expectation. We go into it thinking this is our forever, this is going to, make me happy forever. This person's got my back and stuff like that. But, both people have got issues. And so both people are looking for something, but they don't really have too much to give. But they're needing a lot more than what they're putting out. Because when you're in trauma and stuff like that, before you're healed, you are needing things. It's the consumption. I can watch, I can witness, as an observer at this point, and see how much consumerism is what quiets the mind. It is what's the distraction in life to keep you off from healing yourself, from doing better for yourself. And so and it's crazy. It can be like a food thing, a drink thing, and then a smoke thing, and then a show thing, and then it's just this constant. I've gotta be doing something, and then once you heal and you start seeing no, you gotta stop all that stuff. You gotta quiet your mind. Let what's coming up come up. Don't keep trying to shove it down by putting something inside of you, or whether it's emotional charge or whatever, because drama is a huge, it's not just alcoholism and gambling and cheating and porn. It's not all that. It's so many things. People, anything can be abused. We have people who abuse the shit out of food, because they're not eating because their body needs it. They're eating it because they're trying to hold their emotions inside. And their stomach's growling at them. But there's other things that are trying to be released. But people don't want to go in and quiet their mind and, process. They're scared to feel their feelings. They're scared to feel any kind of pain, but then they just keep themselves in pain all the time, because the whole thing is you got to release the pain. Once you release it, once you let it go, once you heal it, it's gone. You don't have to keep stuffing it back in, distracting yourself. It is a completely different experience then. And so, when we go through these relationships, we have expectation. We think it's going to be our, my one and only. And people will, dedicate themselves to that theory. And then they put the extra, thing on us with the God, once you get married, God says it's forever. Even when I was talking to that medium and I was talking to my grandma, and I was like, oh, so are you and grandpa, hanging out together? Are y'all together? And she's like, no, it's not like that. So, we sit here and we think, oh, we get together and we're together for life. And then we go to death and we're just sitting there together forever at the feet of God singing. And it's like, no, we're just independent souls. We came in for that experience to be a couple. We came in to, learn from each other. but it isn't, that when you're on the other side, that you're just sitting around together. That's why coming into these lives to experience together with another soul, that you have these, I think it seems like, you have souls that you're on the same vibration with. Like you guys are on the same kind of, if you think of the energy shooting out like stars or sparks, and each of those sparks having its own energy, and as that spark fractals out, becoming independent beings, but they're all on like the same wavelength. And so it is like, there's something the same with them. And so there's a strong connection. And so I think when you come in to experience love, some of the ones, like you come in and you experience with a lot of different people. Like if you go in and do like this past life regressions and stuff, you see like all sorts, weird things. Like I just saw this one, and this couple was talking to a medium or something, and they said, yeah, you guys know each other from a past. I think it was the taxi cab medium. It was this couple, and they're all on, hanging on each other and get in. And he's like, "Do you believe in mediums?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Do you want a reading?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." And so he's like, "Cause y'all know each other from a past life." And so they're all like, "Oh, so excited." And then they're like, "What life? What was it?" He goes, "You were brother and sister." And then they were just like, "Oh." But I mean, that's the thing is, then that's why we don't need to remember all of our lives at once, because things that we think are weird in this life that we wouldn't like think would cross over. It's, our souls are not bound to these rules and restrictions. They aren't bound to these avatars or any of that stuff. And so it goes into just experience. And I mean, I can see on what level like it's shown, but I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to explain some of the stuff. So, but anyways, it's like it's to the deepness. It's like to the core. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like an umbilical cord or something. But so you have you have the ones that you're more in alignment with, the ones that your soul tribe, the ones that you're in the same vibration with. So when you speak, they hear things differently than when you put 100 people in a room and you speak to them. Everybody's going to hear different things, but there's going to be the one person or maybe several that are going to hear what you're actually saying. They're going to hear because they hear the messaging behind, because they understand your intention, they understand your vibration, they understand where you're coming from. So they perceive it in a way that how you express it. And so that's the being on the same wavelength, being on the same vibration. And so it's just a simple thing like that. But I think that, there's certain ones that we have a strong connection with. So we come into life after life to go through these really, because this one is, I find it really, to me, it seems really exciting to, find each other through all of these people by vibration, by us both be putting out the same thing. It pulls us towards one another. And so I find it, it is fascinating to me to watch stuff play out. Like I said, we've got the beginning and we've got the middle, but we aren't to the end yet. So we don't have the full picture. And pictures are going to be unfolding over and over and over in different people's lives over this next few years. So much stuff is going to continue to develop. And I'll tell you, like, even, speaking of kids, I just saw this horrific thing. There's so many horrific things going on. And I knew it was coming, and I knew it was going to be horrible and tragic and painful to watch. But this kid's gone missing, and this woman was doing this video about it because of the different pictures and stuff. And in one of the pictures is this t-shirt, what he has on, what it says, and it's all handwritten, and it's very creepy. And I guess he's gone missing, and she's saying the parents need to be you know, whatever that's called, when the lie detector tested. And I didn't watch the whole thing. I just can't handle all these sad things. There's so much tragedy right now. I mean, women sending their kids to the dad killing. It's just so much stuff. I kill them all. Oh, so many things happening. But the thing is see, that is where people are showing themselves who they are. Like, like this is like a really hard thing, I think, for people to wrap their heads around. So it's gonna sound weird, but this is, you know, how I'm shown. So in this instance, say at this time where everybody's getting to see themselves, so you have this inner hatefulness or inner, you know, it could be anything. It can be so much different things. Like, you could have had so many traumas life after life, and you just, you know, this stuff builds up. And, you know, and I don't know, is that why some people come in and play out such rotten parts? You know, I know, like, there is, you know, it's like you got to ride every horse on the merry-go-round. So I know we all have to play all different parts, but, you know, I think that there is, like, I feel like I don't really like to play parts where I hurt people, but maybe it's just because I came right out of one where I hurt a bunch of people, and so it's really fresh. But maybe then I'm comfortable going back in. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that we don't know fully about ourselves, but like in a situation like this, you know, these things are so. This kid is kind of a martyr to this parent or whoever took him out in this horrible situation, is then him because remember, death isn't real, so it's an illusion, you know, it's a game. And so him leaving, but it's still with the veil on, it's impactful, so you still get the full impact of the thing. So the parent who does it while this stuff is going on will see the demon inside of them. They'll see what they need to pull out of them. They'll see what they need to release, because it's going to be so crystal clear. Like, you know, what are you trying to hide? Why would you, you know, kill your kid? Like, what are you trying to, who are you trying to protect? What are you trying to hide? Are you just have no patience? You just lose your mind over every little thing? Like, whatever it is, it's going to show these people who they are at their core. And remember, that's what I've been talking about for all this stuff that's going on, is so you can see who you are at your core. Not anything about anybody else. It's who you are. That's your concern. That's who you want to see, is you. And I still haven't even gotten to the part where it was like, because I wanted to talk about that show. I didn't want to talk about yesterday before she left, because I thought it was going to sound like I was being ridiculing about, you know, her choice of show or something. And, you know, it's not that at all. I kind of think like more parents should probably sit down and watch some of these shows with these kids and see what kids are actually watching. I was so, God. I mean, the programming is such fucking bullshit. It is so fucking sickening on these teenagers. Yeah, especially that you put in these 24, 25-year-olds that, oh, it's okay, so they can have all this sex on TV because they're over age. But you're selling a fantasy. You're programming kids of how to behave. Fuck, dude. Sickening. It's motherfucking sickening. There's so much more innocence back when we were younger, even though there was so much pressure put on us, you know, and we had to be perfect. That's still, you know, it pushed people into showing themselves and having to come out as who they were, you know, and it had to push people into uncomfortable situations to move us more forward. So we had to go through this period of time where we felt super judged, so some people could, you know, come out of the cracks and say, well, you know, I got to show who I am, otherwise I'm dying inside. And so, you know, it's a strong desire of the soul to be seen. So, going through all of that, it was like a development part for people to begin to do that. But then, it went way out too far with it got taken by them. They do it every fucking time. LGBTQ, because it's all to get that T and that P. It's the only fucking thing they give a shit about. They don't give a shit about your fucking rights. They don't give a shit. It's a game. And these people think because they gave you some letters and a thing that they give a shit about your fucking rights. They don't give a fuck. They only want us to fucking fight about stupid shit. That's why they come up with labels and diagnoses and all their fucking subcategories to keep us all in this loop of division. It's but people have to see it for themselves. Once you see it, once you become an observer to it, you have to release it. Like, a lot of people start observing it and go, ooh, and just keep on playing the game. You gotta release it. You gotta go through the process of like, oh, God, I can't even believe I fucking did that. And I can't even believe I played that. Ugh. And, there's some gross stuff about this system. It brought out some gross stuff in all of us. So, but that's what it was meant to do. It was meant to get this gross stuff out of us. So, if you get to release the gross stuff, be proud of yourself. Don't be ashamed. Be ashamed of, anything you've done. Be proud of yourself that you were able to release it and grow from the experience. So, in the one show, because I've watched a couple of them with her. And, and I used to love those coming of age teen show kind of movies. I thought that they were a lot of cute stuff. And I swear to God, there wasn't so much over the top sex. And you watch newer movies and like, oh my God, I swear to God, I don't know where they come up with thinking that we want to be up watching someone make out and pull their lips apart for 5 fucking minutes, or watch some guy pound. I don't get like this voyeuristic programming. To me, it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting, and I think it is. I think it's intrusive. I think that they don't need to show us any of that shit. The people, you have this certain group of people. There's guys who think that every fucking sex thing needs to be like this movie stuff. It's like, okay, go get a choreographer, because this is some bullshit. Like, it's artificial as fuck. You gotta be in the moment. You gotta be, God, people are, God, I'm just, okay, I gotta calm myself down. It just really bothers me. Yeah, it's like this artificial desire of just, it's so artificial. Some of this stuff, some of these behaviors that people just follow, and adapt to. Like, what inside of you is going to ever go like, want desire for connection, desire to be present in the moment, just this, and so many people, and it's not just men thinking like the bedroom needs to be, the movie. It also is, how many women think like, that they need to go out, and theirs is more of that, romance comedy kind of thing. All the women want, some guy to rush in and sweep them off their feet. And so, guys are set up, from the beginning with this stuff. All of us, we all are, because we're all out there looking for something that isn't real, because I don't know how long people can watch things and then, think that they can make that be real life. It's like, these people have people writing their lines. And people think that they need to go out perfectly dressed, snappy, all of this stuff, like, is a show. It's not real life, but people just want to be this perfect thing. They want every situation to be this perfect thing. It's like, that's not real. And then, you know, when their desire is this thing, it's like they put this pressure on you, they put it on themselves. It's like a whole tense thing. But you know, that's just more dysfunction of relationships. But I still want to get to this part. So when they show these kids now, oh my God, even with Euphoria, and I don't know if it's just because I think season 1 was overly sexual too, but season 2, I couldn't even fucking watch it. And they have the whole thing. I mean, of course, they got to have a trans kid, and of course, they got to have the trans kid want to have with the old man. And the old man's cheating. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. The shit that they put on this stuff. It's so fucking much program, but it's working. It's working on these kids. So, in the one show, I can't remember, I think it's called Trinkets. And it had some good stuff. It had some good stuff. But, you know, there's still, you know, the rock and roll chick who was way older, who's in love with the 16-year-old, and that whole, it's like it's still putting the bullshit in there. And so then this one, though, she's like, wanted me to watch, and she had told me about this scene. This is where it's going to get really graphic, because she had told me about this situation in this show. It's called The Grand Army. It's on Netflix. Netflix, you want to know how bad this stuff is for teen programming, go watch teen programming on Netflix. It's disgusting. And I bet you a lot of kids start watching some of that stuff at 10 years old. And so this, you know, because it's high school and junior high, and it's like all these kids want to fucking do is just and they're obsessed with having sex. And it's like, I went to school and it was awkward. People weren't obsessed with having sex. We weren't all just like, you know, and anybody who was doing it was like, oh, you know, and back then too. And this is what was getting me. So I'll say that more with this, because so, you know, back then there was a lot more, there wasn't a whole no, just say no. No, we've gone far enough. It's over. No, that wasn't a thing. I don't even know when that thing started. But it's so fucking distorted. I can't even motherfucking believe it. So, because to me, you know, us girls who were raised back then, we learned, you know, you don't go certain places with guys. You don't go in certain situations with guys. You got to be protecting yourself. You got to be watching out for you. And, you know, the guys, you know, can lose their minds. You know, they get a hard on and suddenly they can't think straight or something. Especially young guys or something. So, you know, I mean, I think that we learned through crises, you know, we were date raped millions of times and all sorts of stuff back then. I mean, you know, it was like, if a guy liked you and wanted you, it was like, that's it, you know. And before our generation, that was a thing. Even before that, girls knew that. Girls were kept more safe. But then we went into this generation of more freedom, and us kids were out there running. Then we had to go through and see, you know, exactly why there needs to be some protection, you know, when you're younger, for being around boys who, you know, are sexually driven. And, you know, I don't know. I know there was a lot of boys you could hang out with and it was totally safe. But there was, you know, times you'd be alone with the boy, and especially if you were going to kiss them or something like that, you know. Yeah, I think a lot of us girls, you know, had a lot of non-consensual sex when we were younger. And so, and we weren't doing anything. You know, and that's where it became so absurd when they were like, what were you wearing and stuff? Well, I was just wearing my regular clothes. and, wasn't doing anything. But so, we were all just, it was a time that people had, humanity had to go through, because it's all about the growth throughout. It's not just, it's micro, macro. It's your individual, but it's also as the whole. And the whole goes out into the whole universe. And so the galaxies, all things, the solar system, it's all things. And so everything is, she's so stiff. And man, it's bad right now. I cannot believe the amount of sneezing. Oh my God, where is the sneezing coming from? You're just sitting here and just all of a sudden sneeze and sneeze and sneeze and sneeze 100 fucking times. And I know she's so stiff and she's got tons of cysts. So it's all these toxins. It's so fucked. I'm so sick of this shit. She would fucking, if it's going to go slow like this, like, okay, judge says you don't have to pay your debt. So then, all these people are going to keep paying. So you can still tell people, well, you don't have to. Well, we still do. I keep telling people, and they just keep, there's people trying to pay their taxes right now. It's like, what? And Canada has cut all of these women. They're the benefit is like, I think it's called child tax credit or something. So families under a certain income or something, that they get a boost from the government, and the government just slashed theirs. And so all these people don't know how they're going to pay their bills. Same thing is happening in America with the EBT. So, and these are all like mostly single moms, that are on food stamps. And so then all of a sudden they don't have money to feed their kids and stuff. So, it's already showing, it's all collapsing. But it's just so crazy how it goes so slow. And then you try and tell people, and it's like, no. Like, okay, well, let's just wait until there's no fucking skin left, and then maybe you'll see. So, anyways, in this show, this one was the one that just blew my motherfucker. I almost couldn't even finish it. With the Swarm one, I couldn't finish it because the girl was just a fucking mindless murderer. It was so disgusting. It was so disgusting. Just, I don't know, the cinematography, just the whole thing. It was so fucking, to me, you could have made your point so much different if you're trying to talk about, show the weirdness in people and how they idolize and stuff. Like, you don't have to have all this graphic fucking murder and this mindless girl. So, anyways, I don't even know where that show ends up. So I didn't even finish that one. It was disgusting. But this army one, there was at some point where I was like, oh, I don't know if I can finish this. And then, but I was drawn in, and so I did finish it. And there was some good things that it had, where it had some social things, like this should be pointed out, like the bullshit stuff about inner city schools. Like, they do not, they are, just like what I've been talking about, how they, from the very beginning, they decide what track you're on. You're on prison track, you're on college track, you're on Harvard track, and it's all based on, you're on Harvard track, it's because you are driven in a certain way that they want to promote. And if you are, a certain personality, they want you in the medical. You're a certain personality, they want you in the legal. You're a certain personality, they want you. And, they haven't even, darker people, they don't even give them that, it's just like they just want to just funnel them all into a life of crime. You have these kids, they're darker and they're trying, like they're in school. They're making good grades and doing stuff, and every little fucking thing that they do, you're expelled, you're suspended, all shit like that. Like, that's some bullshit. That right there, it shows. And when I was watching it, I even said that. I was like, this is disgusting. I went on a rant on that. I was so disgusted. And, and then funny, sometime later in the show, there was another old man, the grandpa of the one kid, and he was saying the same shit as me, and he was ranting. And I said, see, listen to the old people. They know some shit. We've seen some stuff. And the last thing that younger people don't understand is we have a bigger perspective. We've seen some shit. Things have not always been this way like they think. They don't understand. This is not progress. We have not moved forward. We've moved into control. And in this artificial looking for something outside of yourself world. And it's sick and toxic. And so in this, okay, so keep in mind, back in the day when all of this, date rape was happening, us girls were just on a date. We weren't doing anything. It wasn't like we were doing anything. And, but it was just kind of just the way it was. There was no, if you put yourself in a situation, that was it. You were held accountable for whatever situation you found yourself. And sometimes, things were, if something would have happened to me, like when I was out, sneaking out of the house, and if I would have got raped or something, then that would have been, I was putting myself into unsafe situation. I'm going out at night with no parental supervision, nobody watching over me, out in the middle of the night where and I did it all the time. We did it all the time. And if something bad would have happened, it would have been my own fault. So, and I knew that. There's something that we learned that we had to take responsibility because we did go out and get hurt. We did go out and make mistakes. So we learned that we had to take responsibility for ourselves. Well, for some reason, they don't like that. The programming doesn't want that to be the thing. The programming wants it to be victim mentality and division. The guy had the division. So this, I couldn't fucking believe this, pissed me the fuck off so bad. And not only was it pissing me off, I could just keep seeing. I knew what was going to happen to this girl's future. So in this, so it was a high school thing, and it's got all these different characters, and there's so much toxic shit. Like, I could talk about all these different character. I may talk more about them sometimes because there was a lot of things that were shown, but it was like, are these things, do they really need to be shown, or is it like you're trying to draw attention to something? Yeah, the way the show ended, I'd say they're trying to draw attention to something, and I'll tell you how it ended. But first I want to talk about this situation with this girl. So she's a cheerleader, and she is way over-sexualized. She's very outspoken. She's kind of obnoxious and really full of herself, really dancing sexy or whatever. Like, she's just, and then she's got some issue with, like, this teacher and her. I'm not really sure what the whole thing is, but this teacher sees through her because she calls her out at one point in class because the girl comes to class and wears a white wife beater that says release the nipple or something like that, with no bra. And so the teacher just keeps pretending like she doesn't see. So then the girl starts pouring water across her thing in class while the teacher's trying to teach. And the teacher seems like she's real, prim and proper. And she's really disgusted by how this girl behaves. And so she calls her out in the class and says, about your attention-seeking behavior and whatever. The girl gets really mad, and she gets sent to the office, and the teacher ends up having to apologize for being honest. Which, okay, maybe she shouldn't have said it in class, but also, I mean, if you're going to be acting a certain way, then I mean, why? I mean, there, you're doing something out there, then why can't this person say something publicly? You know what I'm saying? So I thought that wasn't fair play. The teacher has to go apologize for what she did by saying your attention-seeking behavior, or whatever it was, it's sad or pathetic or whatever it was. I don't know. It was a burn, that's for sure. Because when she said it, I was like, whoa, because the girl was trying to be such a bitch to this teacher and humiliate this teacher. And the teacher snapped back with a burn because it was true. She didn't snap back and say something that wasn't true. She snapped back and pointed out the truth. And it was such a burn. And that girl's face melted when she said it. And because the truth hurts. Like when you call someone out for their bullshit, it hurts. People don't want to see themselves. They don't want to face themselves. And so, and I know. I mean, I know what things hurt. And my sister, way back when I was getting divorced the first time, and I was like a bitch nonstop. I mean, you couldn't talk to me without me talking about my issues and what's going on in my life, and whining about stuff. And she just was one day just told me to shut up. Either do something about it or shut up about it. And it was like, and that was a big burn, but it really, stuck with me. So, the things that people say to us that are the most hurtful stick with us. Some things are good and some things are, hard. We need to release them. But so this girl has to go down to the office, and then she sends out pictures of her pierced nipples to all of her friend group or something. This all includes guys. She hangs out with these guys. And so one of the guys, so she has a friend, and her friend has a brother, and she has a crush on the brother. The friend doesn't want her to really go out with the brother. It happens in every fucking one of these shows, because she doesn't want to be in the middle of their drama. And so then the brother has two friends, so they've got this friend group going now. And so she hangs out with these guys, but she is way over the top flirty, like way and the one guy likes her and wants her to like him back, the brother, but it was kind of like she was like a slap in the face to him or something. And it's so crazy because any woman who has grown up knows, like, if a girl starts acting a certain way, like this guy, like you're in this group with three guys, because at this point she's with these three guys now. The friend's not there. They've gone out for the night. She's dressed skimpy. She's hanging on them all. They're drinking, they're smoking, and she's wild and out of control and hanging on all the guys equally. The one guy keeps trying to pull her over to him, and so she keeps pulling away from him and then going and hanging on these other two guys with his friends. So the guy who likes her, once she's shown that she has no loyalty to him, he's not going to, keep on liking her. It's like, I don't know how these young girls don't understand this. Like, you are pushing him away. And I don't know what these girls think. So then they go to this movie, and there's a guy sitting in the back that they see, and he's got a duffel bag. There had just been a school bombing at their things. So they're focused on him. So when the movie's over, in her drunken state, she goes over to talk to him and ask him. And then she's down on the floor. She's doing all sorts of stuff. And we're watching from the guy's perspective of her acting all wild and out of control. So she's constantly shown throughout that she doesn't give a shit about, sex, or, like she'll show her boobs to anybody, it doesn't matter. She'll make out with anybody. She doesn't care. And, she doesn't have loyalty to somebody if they like her. So she just is, she's putting a certain persona out there. Like, she's putting herself out there in a certain way. And as you're watching the perspective from these boys, she's down on the floor and rolling around and all this stuff. Then she comes running over with this hot pink dildo. And the guy's duffel bag is full of sex toys because he's a sex toy salesman who comes into town and was waiting for his room or something and came to the movies while he was waiting or something. And so she has a sex toy now. And so she's playing with it and doing all sorts of stuff, like where most of us would have been like teasing these boys and stuff like that. Like, that's what it would have been called back in the day. Back in the day, if you were teasing a boy, then you just better figure you're going to be raped. That was part of the territory. Well, you were teasing him. So she's doing this, teasing them, and she's doing all sorts of stuff with this vibrator. So they've gotten in a taxi cab now. There's an old Indian man driving it who's very disgusted. There's 3 boys. Nobody would sit in the front because they were racist. And so let's see, one of the guys is Jewish, but he's not religious. So they're all lighter skin. And so anyways, but whatever, when she said, you get in front, he said some racist thing. I don't remember. It was rude. And so then she just laughs, oh my God, you're so racist. And so they all squeeze in the back, which I thought you have to have seatbelts, but I don't know, New York rules. So, so the one boy who likes her keeps trying to get her to come sit with him, especially because she's drunk and out of control. But no, she's not having that. So she's like doing lap dances on these boys in the back. And don't forget, she's a cheerleader. So she's very limber and gymnastic-y. And playing with this dildo and making out with them. She's on him, riding him, lap dancing him, all sorts of shit. And the boy who likes her just becomes disgusted. He's just fed up. Like, you want a little of this too? And he's like, no, thank you. She's acting disgusting. And there was even videotape of it. I think one of the boys is videotaping her because she's like giving a blowjob to this dildo and stuff. And I think it's hot pink and lighting up. Don't forget, this is a teenage show. Like, this is a teenage motherfucking show. We watched the Brady Bunch. Like, we got to be older and they had cable. Once cable came on, we'd stay up late at night to see, like, the dirty shows. And I was like, oh, this is gross. I didn't want to watch that shit. And, but kids did. Lots of kids, and then stayed up to watch the late shows on the programs of cable TV to watch sexy stuff. But this is a teen fucking show. It was so fucking graphic. Can't even believe it. And then, so she's doing all of this stuff to these boys, and so then they start doing stuff back. They start sticking their fingers in her and doing it hard. And it's 2 boys, and these are both all athletes. And so they're grabbing her and holding on to her to the point where she gets bruises on her. So they're holding her. So they start having sex with her back there, taking turns. And it's just a frenzy at this point. And she's not having fun anymore. Now at this point, she's stressed. Now at this point, she's like, she's in the mouth of the beast. And it's gotten out of control. And nobody's hearing her. They're laughing and screaming and having a good old time. That she got this time going. She got this party started. And she worked hard to get this party started. And those boys she worked hard to get that party started. And then when it got started and it started going in the direction she didn't have control of anymore, then she, it was a big slam dunk. She was not happy. And so then when she woke up in the morning, she felt like trash. She felt horrible. She felt disgusted. She no longer was wearing the skimpy clothes. And to me, right then and there, as soon as this stuff started happening, I thought this truly is a gift. If this girl would really go in and really try and see herself, right here, she could heal so much stuff. But, they're not going to show that. They don't want people to heal. Don't fix yourself. Like, don't go to counseling and complain and talk about how bad men are. That's the way to go. So the girl, once she wakes up and she feels disgusted and she goes to school, and the boys are just acting regular, just like, hey, yeah, that was so fun and stuff like that, and she's like, as far as she's concerned, they went too far. She is perfectly fine. Everything she did, that was acceptable. Like, I mean, at this point, girls can do naked lap dances on boys sucking off dildos, and the boys are supposed to keep their hands behind their back, apparently. Otherwise, they're crazy rapers. It's like, well, I kind of think the girl started the rape. Like, what? And so she is, and then when she sees they're not affected at all, and while I was watching it, and it's so funny because, like I had said, I had told so much about my story to her, and so much stuff keeps coming up. And so when I'm saying stuff to her about these shows, it's, I've got some history here. I've got some I can tell you some shit. And so the seeing some of this stuff was, oh my God, so disgusting. And so then she, and then trying to get these girls to realize, like, if you're one of those girls and you're going out and doing that, the guys may want to hang out with you. They may be your best friend. They may all want to bang you all the time, but none of them are going to take you home. None of them are going to want to be serious with you. They're going to see you as a player, as somebody who is not loyal, somebody who they can't trust. And I mean, I think any woman who's had some conversations with any men throughout different stages of their lives knows. I mean, like, I'm not making this shit up. I've heard it out of the fucking horse's mouth over and over and over. So they're not gonna, and so when the girl, and they're showing girls, like, this is the way to behave. You just be out there with your sexuality, be out there and be crazy. Because, you got to get out there and have fun. That's feminism. Through the whole motherfucking show, there is this whole girl. She's like written this vagina monologues, apparently. And so she's doing a whole play. So you have these girls going up and saying this stuff. It's this feminist stuff all throughout this show about, this feminism and men are garbage. Women and women's strength that's in the vagina, and go out and be, it's like going out and just giving yourself away is not empowerment. Protecting yourself is empowerment. Like, these girls are being taught to just go out and put yourself in dangerous situations and then blame it on the other person. Be the victim. And don't empower yourself. Don't take control. Don't be wise and be logical. Don't critically think, is this a safe scenario? Should I do this? No. Just go out and do whatever. And then, so she, after they just are acting regular, and she's just disgusted. And then she goes to cheer practice. She couldn't even fucking do her grinding and all that stuff. Like, cheerleaders now wear booty shorts, little small shirts, and they dance like strippers. It's not out there just cheering. No, it's a fucking sex show. And so she started doing her sex show, and she got uncomfortable. And so they moved her to the back of the line, and somebody said something rude to her because the videos were going around. Everybody had seen the videos now of her going down on the dildos, riding these guys in this taxi and all this stuff. And so they're all the girls at school, and especially, the other cheerleader who had issues with her or whatever, who says rude shit. People were saying rude shit. She's feeling like the victim, though. She's feeling like, oh, She didn't do anything wrong. These boys did. She didn't do anything wrong. She's just having a good time being a girl. She's doing girl stuff. So she storms out, she runs off. Nobody understands, and she's crying. And it's like, and the other thing too is these girls don't understand. If a woman goes out, a girl goes out and has sex with somebody, there's like that guy said, their DNA goes inside them. Something gets turned on inside of a girl, a connection. They become connected. No matter how much they don't want to be, they still will feel connected to this person. They're energetically connected. They've allowed this person inside of them. And so this energy is inside of them. And a woman feels that man could, he's putting it out there. So he is not getting the same thing. The woman has it. But see, it's just something that is sacred that people are giving away. And it's sick because this is what they're programming these girls to be like. And so she, they, keep showing how she's struggling. And so I was like, yeah, this is what happens. If you go out and have this shit happen, you're going to feel like shit about yourself. You're going to feel used. The boy will just go on about his day, but you're going to feel used. You're going to feel, like garbage because you just treated yourself like garbage. So your soul's letting you know, you just treated yourself like garbage. And so she's feeling all this shame, and everybody's looking at her at school, talking about her. She needs to leave, go to a different school. Then even at the new school, there's other girls looking at her. Now she's at a Catholic one, and she's still, struggling. And she goes to try and confront these boys because she wants them just to admit, because the DA is not going to press charges now because this video showing her doing all this stuff. She still says, it's these boys. These boys, they should have heard me screaming. They should have heard me. And even if she wasn't yelling, stop, they knew. And then she tried to confront him with the other guy who just watched. He didn't do anything. He was just disgusted by the whole scenario. And, she tried to reach out to him too and say, can't you just tell the truth? And so he wouldn't say anything, and she storms off by herself. And so he tells the boys, yeah, I saw what you did. You guys know what you did. The whole thing is the whole scenario was set up. It wasn't like they just did it without her doing something. There was an action and a reaction. She created the action, and then she's not taught to take responsibility for her action. And the whole programming is to show you about the boys are bad. Boys are bad. And it's like, boys have certain, like you could have certain tendencies, but girls need to be mindful and protect themselves. So you don't go out and put yourself into a situation to give the boy the opportunity to be bad. And yeah, some of them are going to make that opportunity, but that was not what happened. What happened was this girl, and this was like such a huge thing in this show. This is what she was even telling me about in this show, only she was talking about it differently because of the programming, how they are making these kids see things. She really thought this was a total rape. And I was like, this is not what that is. This is completely different than what you were looking at this like. It was mind-blowing how I didn't have a whole long thing, like I'm going to tell you. No, I just said my things like, well, that's no rape. Like, some of us know what that is, and that's not what that was going on. No. There's, this girl was, doing something, and she didn't like what happened afterwards. She didn't like where it led to. She didn't like when things got out of control. And then she didn't want to take responsibility. Like, where did you think it was going to go? Like, you thought, oh, I'm just going to do all this stuff, and these boys are going to just play along, and then they're going to run home and take a cold shower. No, you were acting like that you are ready to do it right there. I mean, she was putting it out there. It's not. And then how they get these kids to be divided and how they create this real feminist thing. And then there's so much stuff also about racism. They just want to continually get racism in these kids' minds on this show. So they kept having this part about these boys being expelled, these really hardworking boys being suspended, and one, it was a whole long thing about it. And how the darker skinned kids are treated worse than that's, for sure. I mean, that's not even a question. If, lighter skin gets better treatment, for sure. It does. And, and there's so much racism even in the different groups, because it has like a whole thing about these Chinese kids being racist to an American Chinese kid. And, all these people are all racist in their own groups too. Like, there's so much division. They've got so much division in, in the cultures, just wanting to strip people of their identity. And so, and this, when it ends with, this kid getting this great opportunity, and he starts playing his, I think he played the sax, old jazz, and gives this great opportunity to play, and then he decides to do a social justice instead and make a stand on something. And so that's what they just keep on their programming, getting these kids, you need to take a stand for this stuff. It's like, no, you don't need to you just need to go be a kid. You just need to go. Yeah, if things come up in your life, then take a stand, but you don't have to do all of this stuff. Like this kid, wanted to be a musician, and then he's going to jack his whole career up to take this stand. And then, so they program these kids, to put yourself aside. But their whole thing is their social justice shit. It's their stuff they promote. Like, yeah, there is people who are treated worse by the color of their skin or the amount of money that they have. And those people are here to stand up and learn those experiences, to stand up for themselves, whatever the case may be. It's all different experiences, all different lessons, all different things. And, the people who go and, like, they don't need to make racism everybody's problem. It's a certain group's problem. It's their template to overcome. It's their life lessons. It's what they came to experience, to overcome, or to have their full circle, their reverberation, their karmic debt. So many different things playing out all the time, but it's not everybody's stuff. Like, we don't all have to jump on to every single problem. We need, if it happens to your neighbor, you want to be supportive and go. But I don't know. There was just the whole thing with the programming, how they just kept making it this whole racist thing. And, you got to just keep standing up for this racist stuff. And dark people are mistreated. And it is, it's not just dark people who are mistreated. Jesus Christ. People who aren't attractive enough are mistreated. People who are too heavy are mistreated. People who have any kind of disability are mistreated. People with the wrong color hair are mistreated. Like, it's multiple people are being mistreated. It's not just one group. And like I said, in so many of these groups, they mistreat each other. I mean, in ones that where are a lot of range in color in groups, then the darker people are treated worse than the lighter people by each other. Like, they don't want to be associated with somebody who's darker because they think that other people think that they seem dirtier or something. That's their projection. You know, you're assuming you think you know what everybody thinks. And if there's certain people who think that way, that's not probably people you want to associate with anyways. So, you know, like this woman, she was doing this video. She said that she just went and got her nails done, and she said, I have to say this, this conversation I overheard, it was so disgusting. I just have to say, because it made me sick. And she said it was a woman who was, she had teenagers, and so it was obvious the woman had just split up or something, was having some house situation. And so she's got 2 of her kids with her, 2 teenagers, a boy and a girl. And then a grandma comes, and they're all in the feet chair, the pedicure chairs. And the woman is in the nail thing. So she's, they're all behind her. And so she's listening to them talk. And they're, the woman is talking about, well, you know what a lot of people are doing in this situation? They're going and buying campers, and they're living in the camper and until they can get a place, or, you know, put it somewhere and then build a place. And so she's, you know, talking about what a lot of people are doing. And the one kid, I think the boy does it first. He goes, I'm not living in a camper. What do you think? We're going to go live in a camper? We're not living in a camper. And then the teenage girl starts in, yeah, I'm not going to live in a camper. God, what are we, some kind of white trash? We're not going to live in campers. And then she said what really got her was when the grandma did. Because she said then the grandma stepped in and started saying, yeah, you're not going to lower our family like that. You're not, that is below us. You're not going to be trashy. You don't go live in camp, like a whole thing. And she said it was so disgusting because it was like teaching these kids. Like instead of telling those kids like, camper, what are you talking about? What's wrong with living in a camper? What's wrong with however anybody wants to live? Go travel the world. You think everybody's living like how we do in America? No. It's this artificial chase that we have in America, why we're all trying to live this certain way. And it's not how it is every single other place. There's people who can live in shacks who are happy, way happier than people here who have everything. So, you know, that's the challenge in life. That's like the whole point of even having lack. It is why you have things happen. It is what do you do with it? If you have nothing, what do you do with it? Are you happy? Are you an angry, sad, mad person? Because you're just trying to see who you are. You're trying to understand yourself. So in your understanding of self, that then you can change or develop, or you once you see yourself, it gives you more understanding, you know, of who you are and who you want to be and what you are and how you're perceived and what you're putting out there. And they're distorting how these kids see things. And it's so clear in the programming. And it was so disgusting how much division they try and create. And they market it as being social justice and feminism, and it's sick. I mean, pretty soon they're going to have them like, oh, well, you know, Joey did die. It was like, we should eat him for the planet. It's like, God, it's just sick. And it's so sick is I don't understand how people believe this stuff, how they go along with it. Like how eating your neighbor makes sense. Like the teacher now who's on tape telling these kids, like, you have to eat bugs for the planet. It's like, we all eat bugs. Like they've been allowed to put, I guess now even the FDA is allowed 6% human in all of our food. So, you know, and they've always been allowed a certain amount of rat shit and bugs in all of our food. That's what turned me off of cereal and stuff way back. Like, I think I got cereal for my kids off WIC. But then when I had to start buying it and stuff, like I bought a few cereals like Life or whatever. But I love, what are those mini wheat, frosted mini wheats. I love frosted mini wheats, but, you know, I wasn't like a lot of people like have a lot of cereal. But once I heard about all the gross stuff they're allowed to have in cereal, I was like really grossed out. Now it's even, you know, more and more keeps coming out. I mean, our food is so full of chemicals and toxins, and I was 6% people and bug. But this woman's telling these kids at school that they have to eat bugs to save the planet. That's just, the cows are destroying the planet. The cows are not destroying the planet. The corporations are, lady. The guy who's writing your check is destroying the planet. So, go over your script. Use your brain. It's ridiculous. Oh my God. I swear. That's why I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Do these people really just, what is wrong with them? Why don't they think for themselves? How, and then to go and sit there and put your beliefs on these kids. But all these people, everybody has turned their kids over to be raised by the schools. People don't want to be bothered. That was a huge thing when 2020 happened and kids had to be home then. And parents didn't know what to do with them. I don't know how to teach them. Just teach them. There used to not even be school. What? Now people just don't even want to teach their kids. They don't want to spend time with them. There's a TV in your room. Get the hell out of here. This is crazy. You're just a tax write-off. Stay in your room, please. And don't make too much noise or I may have to murder you. This world, I don't even know. It just gets crazier and crazier. And then these people who are just judgmental, hateful, biases. I don't know if Trump's going to be arrested today, but I do know that the people who want him to be arrested have got serious biases. And, and then there's people who've got serious hero worship too on the other side. And they need to see that they've got to, believe in themselves. They got to work on them. Everybody's just got to work on themselves. That's all there is to it. Everybody's got to work on themselves. And we want to have a better world and a better planet. Everybody's got to work on themselves. And we've got to see through so much of this stuff. We got so much stuff we got to fix and heal. And there's a reason why the kids are the way they are. We've got a big problem. What they've done to the teenagers right now. They've cut them off from things. They've just really programmed them in a really toxic way. So I'm excited for things to start changing, for things to be seen and stuff. It sucks if it's going to be this slow thing, where a judge just comes out. You can stop paying your bills now. Okay, you're going to have to be there's going to have to be a little bit more of a, bells and whistles than just that. Because I've been telling people that for years and nobody believes it. So everybody thinks, they'll keep paying them. It wouldn't fucking matter. They just keep paying them because they got to do what they got to do. They got to do what they're supposed to do. You got to do it's the rules. You got to follow the rules. I'm a good person. So anyways, everybody will just see when they see. So anyways, I've been talking a really long time. I don't even know. When I started it, I thought I was going to be more graphic. Hopefully it wasn't too disappointing. After I had the build up, it was going to be graphic. But it was such a graphic scene. It was so long and drawn out of this girl doing all of this stuff to these boys, and then to turn around and call it a rape, and then for the girls to believe it. They think that is, girls, please. You don't go out and act like that. Don't go and think that you can just put all your goodies out there and that when somebody grabs them that they've got the problem. No. You got to protect your stuff. You don't just put it out there for everybody. Save it for someone special. And, learn to love yourself. I was even telling her, she's going on her adventure and stuff, and I'm like, this is really exciting times when you get to this age where you can go out with your friends and go on adventures and go do things. That is the stuff I said. Those are the stories of your life. Those are the chapters you look back on when you get older, the memories that you go back in and you remember, because you're writing a chapter when you go in for these experiences. And there's a lot of fun experiences you can go have before you start having relationships, and develop yourself as a person. And, throughout this whole show, it showed, these girls' insecurities, and they throw themselves at these boys. There's a reason why boys are out of control. It's because girls are just throwing it out there and giving it away for free. They don't give a shit. They don't value themselves. We've got kids out there who have no value, no self-esteem, and it's toxic. We've got to build people up. We've got to build self-esteem. Find something, no matter if they're worst. There's something. There's a little light inside of them that you start out pointing out that little light until they start turning on more lights, and then pretty soon they're gonna see. And it's a journey to see yourself for who you are. We can't expect a 20-year-old is going to be seeing themselves clearly because they're still in the motion of growth. But, we've got to allow people to go through experiences, because experiences is what teaches, not us standing over someone telling them how they need to follow the rules to make us comfortable. So we've all got to open ourselves more to trust, allowing people to find themselves and stop trying to control this world and let people develop and experience. So anyways, take care of yourself. Who knows what's going to go on. Today's the 22nd. I'll get up in the morning and still record before I go. And who knows, maybe I'll see some more stuff that I meant to say the other day about the bill thing. Because now I think it's called ISO 20022 or something like that. And it's something about the blockchain and stuff. So the blockchain is quantum. The blockchain is going to be like how we vote. It's some sort of very distinct marker to just you. So that nobody can interfere with it or something. I'm not really sure how it all works. We'll all be learning more about it, but it's something with the quantum. So something about it started on the 20th with this ISO 2000 or whatever. It's either 22002 or 20022. But some government thing, and some with the banks. And a lot of people have already been notified that their banks are going digital and stuff. And so today, the 23rd is when everything is supposed to switch over to the quantum thing. But it's for sure supposed to be by the 30th or something. So I don't know. I mean, we keep hearing these days, and just like, this judge coming out, oh, you can stop paying your bills. It's like, oh. We need more than that. We need everyone to understand what's happening. So anyways, we'll just see if the power and all that stuff's going to go down, because there's this whole thing. When it switches to the quantum, we're going to go on the quantum internet too, so that there's a point of them taking down the internet. And then when it comes back on, supposedly we'll be on this other system. And, that's when we'll start seeing things really start changing. Like, we're so close right now to when everything is just going to spin the other direction. It's going to be dramatic. And still, like, for all this stuff to keep happening and to be like, what is it going to be? And California has got so much, so much going on with the weather. Paris is like constantly, there's people doing live videos of, they've got like war in the streets. Like, it's crazy in Paris. Like, with, last night I saw one, it was tons of like these giant like paddy wagons with all sirens, like lines and lines of them. People all walking, trash, everything, and just fires and trash and stuff everywhere, everything broken. And then this morning, the one I had seen, it looked kind of like tear gas or something, really foggy. People all out in the streets, kind of darkish. So it just keeps being, every time they keep showing it, there just keeps being fighting in the streets in Paris. So there's a lot going on there. Some of the countries have got stuff going on, but it's blocked out from the internet, so it can't be shown. And Iran's like one of them. Like, there's some really crazy stuff going on. So we're at the time where everything is going to change, and it's in the stars. It's the astrological change. So I just don't know how it's going to go. So just be prepared for anything and stay, strong to yourself and keep working on you. And I will talk to you later.